All right, Zohran Mamdani and President Trump both vowing to work on affordability together in a relationship that caught many off guard. And now the Democrat socialist is revealing more about his viral meeting at the White House, including some interesting items he found before walking into the Oval Office.
I sit down waiting for the time of the meeting, and in front of me are like all these different coffee table books, and one of them is UFC at the White House.
Oh yeah, he's bringing it there, right?
I had no idea, but I was
just the rose
flipping through that.
Are you gonna go?
No.
Are you?
Let's bring in Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright. Always great to see you, Antoine, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jay.
I'm sorry, I guess I missed the joke there. I mean, a coffee side table, I mean, that wasn't even that interesting, but I don't know why he even felt the need to mention it. I personally think he thought the meeting went so well that he had nothing negative to say about the president, so he had to pick something, so he was like, hey, let's talk about that coffee side table book.
Well, very few people get the opportunity to visit the White House and certainly sit with a living president and being able to discuss the issues that they promised the voters who sent them to the office to do. And so not many people probably go to the White House to expect to see that type of decor, if you will. And so I thought that was interesting, and the fact that he was able to lightly talk about his meeting with the president for something that's not as serious as the affordability crisis that has been created largely in part because Maganomics has been a failure.
I personally think a lot of people were surprised. I think a lot of people thought that there would be a lot more tension between these two, and it seemed that the president liked Mamdani. I mean, I think Mamdani was even surprised that Trump liked Mamdani. I think that obviously Trump is a New Yorker, and he wants what's best for the city. So he decided to just say, hey, let's let bygones be bygones. Here's Mamdani when he was asked about the Trump meeting and what his take was. Watch.
Did you expect him to like you as much as he did?
I was trying to prepare for a lot of different situations. It honestly felt like the most productive meeting we could have had.
Do you think it really was productive? Because the backstory here is obviously that President Trump disagrees with absolutely every one of Mamdani's policies that could be potentially disastrous for New York City. So he needs Trump to help him if he's going to get any kind of federal funding. And the president basically has warned him that he won't give him the money if it's for something that Trump doesn't believe in.
Well, Jay, politics is a game of addition and multiplication, not subtraction or division. So it's in the best interest of New York to succeed for Donald Trump. It's in the best interest of Donald Trump to be helpful to New York for Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect. So they both have the common interest of wanting each other, needing each other to be successful. I would also argue that one underpinning they have in common is the affordability conversation. Zohran Mamdani has owned the affordability conversation. Donald Trump arguably has failed on the affordability conversation. And if we know anything about this sitting president, he likes the conversation to be about him. So, of course, cuddling and playing footsie with Mamdani to talk about affordability was good for Donald Trump because it keeps him in the eyes of the media.
Okay, but in all fairness, when you're talking affordability and the president not talking affordability, he's made it quite much more affordable to be an American and live in this country. Thanksgiving Day last year was a lot more expensive, and gas prices are down, and affordability is something that this president has been touting for quite some time. So I don't want to necessarily say that he's not talking affordability.
I would argue a little different. The president was on the record saying affordability was a con job. And if you look at AAA, the gas prices today are the same prices they were 1 year ago today, $3.05 for unlevered average across the country. We know that we've lost 1 million jobs since Donald Trump has taken office. We know consumer confidence is down. We know unemployment is up. Inflation is up. We also know that there are people literally taking out short-term loans to buy groceries. These are things that are non-debatable, and these are facts.
The president has only been in office since January, and quite frankly, the country is doing much better right now economically than we were 1 year ago. I mean, give him some time, but I'm just saying, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. But that is all the time that we have. Antoine Seawright, thank you very much. Thanks for seeing us.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jay.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.